All right, everybody, we're going to get started here in a few minutes. All right, the echo should be gone, Alistair. This is the website where I get most of my music, if anyone was interested. My plan is we'll start right at noon, in case anyone's wondering.
What's this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like ZW is crowding in on my job. I need to check my contract. As far as I know, there is not a human hurt his finger, so now he gets to talk to the viewers clause in there, but I could be wrong. Well, this is sure to fail miserably. I am going to go read my contract. You all can participate in this charade if you want to. Oh, right. Please like, share and subscribe. It's important to the whatsits that make the thingamabob do the algorithmizing.
All right. Well, that was fun. Okay, I'm just going to reset the camera real quick. Look for a new narrator. All right, let's get some of this. How's everybody doing today? Asking questions, but I can't hear answers. All right, let's move you guys closer to me here. You like my Michael Cthulhu shirt? Yeah, he makes ridiculous giant swords. Hey Steve, good to see you. Alistair, Philip. All right, so I thought today, since I've been doing this mysterious wood turner thing all these years, nobody knows who I am. I don't know how much I'm going to share, but I thought I would tell you guys kind of how I got into the hobby. Like probably many of you out there, you start out, you don't have a lot of space, you never have enough money, and you just kind of stumble into things. But I think the first taste, actually before I do that, let me talk about the elephant in the room. Good news, I got my membership to the Midget Digit Club canceled. Looks like my finger has decided to heal, so that's great because it was kind of touch and go there a bit. And it sounds like that nitro paste that I told you guys about worked really well, so the headaches were worth it. Anyway, some of you who were here early probably saw the x-ray, but yeah, the bone's knitting up and everything's fine, so I'm super excited and just one step closer to getting back to turning. So how I got into turning probably started, I'm trying to go back. I know I did some silly, I was trying to make a dowel basically, that was a weird size for a project I was building. And rather than see if I could buy one, I chucked a piece of wood onto my drill press. And I jerry-rigged some kind of setup, and I was able to actually turn a dowel. And it's not the most efficient way to do wood turning. It's vertical instead of horizontal, and it doesn't work that great. And I think I was just using a chisel, a little short-handled chisel. So I learned pretty quickly that wasn't gonna be a long-term solution if I was gonna do wood turning, but I got intrigued by it. So a lot of people get turned off by the hobby because, like I've got this Laguna 1836. It's a couple $1,000s. People look at that and they're like, that thing's huge, costs a lot of money. I'm not gonna buy that for my tiny little shed. But I actually started with a Harbor Freight. I got the biggest wood lathe they have, which I think is an 8x30 or something. And it's not the best tool in the world, and looking back, I can't believe how much turning I did on that thing, and I can't believe some of the pieces I turned on it, because it didn't have variable speed. It tended to want to overheat on me, and the base wasn't very heavy, so just a slight imbalance, the whole thing would start walking around. And I actually had one catch fire on me. The motor on that lathe was in the back, with the back cooling area of that motor aiming right towards where all your sawdust goes. And Chinese imports are notorious for having bad windings. And so I remember one day I was turning and I smelled burning plastic. I looked down and my lathe's on fire, and I had a fire extinguisher right there and put it out. So I don't know if I'm recommending Harbor Freight or those cheap budget tools, but I don't know that I would have gotten the hobby if I had to start with a $2,500 machine. So know what you're getting into. When I bought it with the extra protection. So you pay like 10% of the price of the tool or something, and they give you this free, no questions asked sort of policy. And what I found with that piece of junk was, like, I would break the tool rest sometimes, really cheap metal, and you get a little catch in the tool rest and just pop off. And I'm not talking anything like what hurt my hand, just a minor check. And so they wouldn't let you return the tool rest. You'd have to return the whole tool. And the place I went to was an hour from my house, because I lived in a rural area, which contributed to why I didn't take any classes or anything, because it was a heck of a drive to go anywhere. And I would just come in with these things like 2-3 weeks later. I got a broken tool rest and give them the whole thing back, and they'd give me a brand new one right out of the box. I did that a couple times, and then the one caught fire, and by then the manager's looking at me like, come on, dude, like, what are you doing? But I said, hey, no questions asked, right? So that kind of got me in the hobby, and it just so happened that right around that time is when all the fires and floods were happening around me. So I was getting a lot of driftwood, mainly ceanothus, that was just really pretty wood. So there was like this instant feedback loop of really quality wood and abundance. It didn't cost me anything. I'm running off the Harbor Freight, throwaway tool, and I just started getting beyond the machine's capability. Like, it just could not handle the bigger stuff. It couldn't keep up with off balance things, and so I realized I was obsessed. Actually, I should back up a little bit. The way it all started, my wife and I would do these anniversary presents where we do things together, and so we had done like surfing for a while. We went out and bought surfboards, and then we did music, where she did guitar, I did bass, and we decided we were going to do a compact wood shop. It had to be compact because of the shed we had, and so we put a budget together, and it was like $300 a month or something, and we would just buy a new tool each month. And so I bought a drill press, and I bought a bandsaw, and then I eventually got the lathe, and then it was like, that's it, that's all I was using. And then she decided she didn't like power tools, she didn't like woodworking, so it kind of works out if I put it, I think, I don't know. She does like the bulls I turn. So once I got completely obsessed with the lathe, I just started putting those $300 increments aside until I had enough to buy a nice lathe, and spent a lot of time on YouTube. And the Laguna is the one that I settled on, and it is a bit pricey, but it's just a really well built machine. I beat the hell out of it, and it can handle me, which is saying something. There's a little relay in here that connects all the buttons, and I've had that relay go out on me 2 or 3 times now. And Laguna's always just great about it. Like, the first couple times they would just send them to me free until the warranty ran out. And then, I mean, the relay's like $4. You can get them from China, actually. And so I just bought a case of them, but never used any after that. I just replaced it, and it's held up. So I have a bunch of extra ones. If anyone out there has a Laguna that has a relay go out. What I found is, I think what blows out that relay is if you're turning and you want to reverse direction, and you let it, you don't let it come to a complete stop before you flip direction and start it up again. That's what I think. You're lazy, basically, and impatient. Because I started getting really careful about that, and I haven't had any issues since. So that's kind of how I ended up in the wood turning obsession. Somebody asked a question about the headstock and whether it swivels or not. It does not swivel, but it does slide. So if you wanted to do off turning, you can slide it all the way down to the end and turn off the end of the lathe. My Harbor Freight would swivel, but I never actually used it because I never had a way to put the tool rest in front of it. You need like a tool rest that can outboard, and I don't have that, and it's just one more thing to buy. So I've found that just sliding it down to the end works pretty well for me. So as far as the taking of classes, like I said earlier, I couldn't take classes so much because where I lived and the distance and all of that, and there just weren't any wood turning clubs that I knew about in my area. And so YouTube was my class. I spent a lot of time watching a lot of people. There's so many wood turners, and they're also positive energy and the interactivity with their audience. Like, you throw a question on a guy's channel and he would send you an answer, and it was pretty cool. And so as I'm sure some of you who do videos have learned, there's always those folks who are kind of bitter negative, and they just point out your flaws, and I don't respond well to those. But the people who are positive and are just like, hey, you should try this, or did you watch that, or check out that video, it really helped me. So I don't claim to be an expert by any means. I'm sure there's a lot of things I do that are sloppy. Everything I've done, I've just kind of learned by doing. Probably my most signature thing that you guys love is my big fat scraper. I just had a guy post in my last video that he had scraper envy. So This came about because I was watching YouTube, and there's a guy called I haven't seen him in a while. I think he's called the Wood Whirler. He's got a southern accent, real interesting guy, and he made a tool that I think he called what did he call it? The woodchuck? No, the nibbler or something. Some goofy name. I don't remember, but it was similar to this. It wasn't quite as fat, and it had an interesting little the beaver. That's right, Alistair, you got it. The beaver, and I liked it, and I was like, I watched him make it, and in his video he said something about how like it with metal you if you get it red hot, then you gotta harden it when you're done. But if it's already hardened and you can keep it from getting too hot, then it'll stay hard, and you can just it's called a reductive something or other. And so I had this piece of steel I found next to a railroad track when I was out walking around, and it was super hard steel. It was the sacrificial piece. Some of you guys know this because you've watched the video, but it was the sacrificial piece they bolt on the front of a bulldozer blade, and then it, as you grade roads and stuff, that gets eroded away. It doesn't affect the actual blade. You just slap new ones of these on. So if you ever get your hands on one of those, this is the metal that the big fat scraper is made out of. And so when I was grinding it, I went through I don't know how many grinding wheels, and I just kept it from getting hot. I always had water and everything, and I ground it down. And the thing I like about it is, especially with those ceanothus spurls, they're always out of balance. They're really hard, and initially when you're trying to just kind of knock the edges off them and stuff, they're not good for bandsaw. You can't put them under a bandsaw. You can kind of do a little bit with a chainsaw, but I could put them on this lathe, and I could just put this sucker in here, and it could just take a beating, and it would just, you guys see me use it. And so that's where the big fat scraper came about, and it's all just DIY. This is like a piece of plumbing, and this is a piece of I think it's manzanita, I'm not sure, some kind of redwood. But just pull a piece of wood off the wood pile. If I was going to do it again, I'd probably throw a little bit longer handle on it, which I did with part 2. This is definitely manzanita. So this is part 2. I threw a slightly different angle on it, so it's a little flatter up top. This one's more round, and I don't know, it's just messing around. But I love these tools. I get some people who kind of speak derisively about scrapers, but I think the right tool is the one that works. And I find that sometimes I go with the carbide, sometimes I go with the bull gouges, but these cost me nothing. So, back to that theory that wood turning is too expensive. It can be. You buy all the tools, buy all the toys, you're gonna run out of money real quick. If I was going to only buy one tool, and that's the only tool I had, it would be the 1/2-inch bull gouge with a Irish grind on the end of it, or a fingernail grind. This is the one that I bent on my finger. But you can do so much with these tools. If you don't know what you're doing and you mess up, which obviously I have, then you get catches and stuff. But I find that I can do almost anything with this. All the little specialty tools are good at one thing, but this thing you can use for just about anything. So honestly, between this and the big fat scraper, I could get by. But I think that's the funnest part about this hobby, is just all the potential for making your own tools and trying things out and experimenting. And so that's when you start getting into wire burns and carbide tools, and all my carbide tools are home built. Hey, there's Barn. What's odd? You think I look odd? The robot's on strike, so I have to speak for myself. Anyway, lost my train of thought there. So yeah, the 1/2-inch bull gouge. This one's made by Pinnacle. I'm not a shill for them. I don't have any sponsorship from tool companies, but I find this one, it was a reasonably priced. They have some weird cryo steel. I don't know anything about that, but I find it's a pretty good tool, and I use it a lot. All right, so that was kind of all I was really planning on talking about today. I'm just trying to do some of these videos while I wait for my finger to get better. But I thought maybe some people might find that history lesson interesting. Maybe not. You guys might admire this amazing cup I have. My sister made that for me. It's got my logo on it. How awesome is that? And I taught her how to do etching, and so it's kind of cool. So anybody have any questions for me, or is this going to be a short one? I'm out of material. My son watches a lot of Lego videos, so it wouldn't shock me if he's seen that video. We're actually doing editing today after this on his first video. He bought a kit, built it using my old GoPro cameras. So Doug's asking me to recap. So for those of you who were here last week, ignore this. But Doug, I got a bad catch, and I threw my finger into my tool rest, and it got smashed between my tool rest and my finger. It was totally my fault. Bad technique, but it snapped the end. If you go back to my live feed from, I think it was last week, you can hear the whole story. But the good news is I got denied membership to the Midget Digit Club. My finger's going to stay connected. This is one of the things I hate about these live feeds. It's like there's a bit of a delay, and so if I pay too much attention to your comments, I feel like I'm chasing the conversation. But yeah, Alistair, when you hurt your finger, the first thing that happens is everybody comes out of the woodwork telling you all their horrific stories. And I found real quickly that my story is not horrible at all. I've heard some terrible ones. And all the doctors want to tell you about the worst ones they've seen. But woodworking, I guess, has a reputation. Radial arm saws, I'm hearing, are the worst offenders out there. So stay away from those radial arm saws. They're out to get you. But I think that anything you do when you're using power tools, there's a risk, right? Yep, I held my breath for sure, Doug. I was I was afraid to look at it because I knew how bad it was. And then you look at it and you go, looks like we're making it dry. I had an idea the other day about making finials, and maybe some of you guys have done that, but I was thinking it might be cool to get one of those bench top lathes for like metalworking and doing little brass finials or something, and then putting those on the lids of bowls and stuff. So that's one thing I might be looking at in the future of the channel. I also, I saw a pretty awesome video by Kim Tippin the other day. I think I said that right. She had taken a bowl, turned it as a hollow form, and then she waxed half of it to look like metal, and then she drilled holes in it and stitched it together with like twine. And it looked really intriguing, and so it got my brain spinning on all these ideas. There's a bunch of ideas I have that are kind of jumping off of that theory, so I might be looking into that. So that's another thing I'm looking to do in the future with the channel. Oh, I got a tip for you guys. Do you guys ever buy these LED light panels? These things are pretty awesome and they're pretty cheap, but one thing that I've noticed about these things is the little switch back here. I don't know if they're the cheapest switches in the world, but the thing will just stop working and you'll think it's a throwaway, and you'll go to throw it away, but then I'm cheap, so I take it apart and find out it's just the switch. So if you ever have these LED light panels that are low budget and they stop working on you, just go in and put a jumper. Just take the switch out of the deal and then power it off of the plug. You can see this one's unplugged, this one's unplugged. I don't know why those switches go out, but I guess if you were a pro, you could add a new switch. I just jumper them out of the way. So there's a hot tip for you today if you're doing YouTube LED lighting. Philip asks, who's the robot? Uh, so when I first started my channel, the first video I ever posted was, I commented on some other guy's video, and he asked, I said something about how try doing such and such. And he goes, do you have a video of you doing that? I'd love to see it. And so I put one together just to show him. I can't even remember what it was. It was a really short video. And I was using like Windows Movie Maker, and I didn't have a lot of editing skills, so I didn't know what I was doing. And so there was no words on it or anything, but a bunch of people watched that video. And I created a YouTube channel and everything just so I could post this one video. And then all these people were asking all these questions and getting all excited. And I was sort of intrigued by that, and I found that having people interested in what I'm doing gave me more incentive to dive in and wood turn. It was like it gave me something, target or whatever. And I was having a lot of issues at work at the time. It was kind of a rough time with the place where I work, and they were going through reorganizations and stuff. And so it was a great way to just kind of de-stress at the end of a workday, just to go hide in the shed and make sawdust. But I didn't really want to put myself out there, and I've kind of talked about that before a little bit, and maybe it's because I don't feel like I'm that photogenic, but you guys are very forgiving. But so what I did is I just found this website where you could type a script, and then you could pick the voice you wanted. You could pick like a British guy or a German guy. And so I would just make a little witty joke at the beginning or tell something about the type of wood I was turning, and then Robot Harry was my snarky narrator, and he still is. And people love it or hate it. Most people seem to like it. I do like to pick on certain people with Robot Harry. Doug has been a recent target, so it all comes from a good place, Doug. Robot Harry gets mad at me all the time because he doesn't think I should be picking on people, but he likes to pick on me, so there you go. But I almost had a disaster. The website I used to make Robot Harry, it went down, and I had no Robot Harry. And then I had to go and scour the internet, and I actually found, and I'm not going to tell people where I found it because then everybody's going to have a Robot Harry, but I found a way to get Robot Harry back. I saved him from the death of the internet. So I'm glad a lot of you guys seem to like Robot Harry, because it's fun for me to have that sort of stylistic intro to all my videos. I don't know how today's went, but I was trying to figure out how to do that in a live stream. It'd be great to have somebody who could type really fast and we could have a conversation, but obviously Robot Harry is just a piece of me, so the secret's out. I thought about, I had a couple of guys wanting me to come on, I know DIY Darkside does a live stream, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a live stream with Robot Harry instead of me and just have him, talking trash and stuff, but I'm not sure how to make that work, so gotta think about that. Trying to think what else I was going to tell you guys about. I didn't want to write a script or anything. Robot Harry's my Jarvis. One time I had a video where Robot Harry he got himself in so much trouble that I put him on a break, and I had a guest narrator that was a female German voice. And the German lady is giving me a hard time, and she's interrupting, and Harry has to come in. And I had some people get really angry at me for making fun of German people, and I was just, I was like, honestly, the only reason I did German is because I learned that in Germany the term for wood turning is Dreschler. And so I wanted her to explain that, and I threw that in there, and man, some people were really angry. It's amazing the outrage people can have, just so angry. So anyway, that was fun. Be careful if you choose a robot narrator. Don't. Turns out a huge percentage of wood turners on the internet are from Germany. When I look at my where my viewers are coming from, there's a pretty high number that are coming from Germany. And so be careful not to offend the Germans if you want to build a channel, because there's a lot of them watching you. All right, well, I think on that note, I'm gonna wind it down. I appreciate you guys all coming. Man, the delay is really getting to me. I gotta work on this. Anyway, you guys have a good weekend. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing these or not. If you like them, go ahead and throw some comments in them when it posts, and keep on wood turning. And if you have things you want me to talk about while I'm waiting for my GIMP finger. Oh, let's talk about temperature in the finger. Holy cow. Little bit of cold feels like frostbite, man. It's like, anyway, too much info. All right, you guys. Have a good weekend. I appreciate you joining me, and we'll catch you another time. All right.